Have you ever wondered how a city like London, one of the oldest and most famous in the world, came to be? Well, it didn't start as a city at all. Long before any streets, bridges, or buildings, people lived along the banks of the River Thames. For them, the river meant survival. It provided food, a way to travel, and natural protection from threats. Archaeological finds show that humans were in this area over 10,000 years ago. But back then, there was no London. There were just small settlements scattered along the river's edge, following its winding path. Everything changed in the year 43 AD. The Roman Empire, a force that had conquered much of the known world, invaded Britain. They saw the potential of the River Thames and needed a strategic spot for trade and a reliable crossing point. So they built a settlement and gave it a name, Londinium. This was the true birth of London. The Romans were master builders. They constructed roads, bustling markets, grand public baths, and a sturdy bridge across the river. Londinium grew at an astonishing pace, quickly becoming one of the most important cities in Roman Britain. But this newfound peace was fragile. In the year 60 AD, a fierce warrior queen named Boudica led a massive rebellion against Roman rule. Her army descended on Londinium, burning it to the ground and killing thousands. The destruction was so complete that even today, archaeologists can find a thick layer of red and black ash from this event buried deep beneath the modern city. The Romans, however, were not easily defeated. They returned and rebuilt Londinium, making it even stronger than before. They surrounded the new city with massive defensive walls, some of which you can still see traces of today. By the 2nd century, Londinium was a thriving metropolis with a population of over 60,000 people. Then, the Roman Empire began to crumble. In the 5th century, Rome pulled its soldiers out of Britain to defend its collapsing frontiers. Without the Roman army, trade collapsed, and Londinium slowly emptied. The grand buildings fell into ruin. The roads crumbled, and people moved away, seeking safety in the countryside. For nearly 200 years, the once great city of London became a ghost town, an almost deserted ruin. By the 7th century, life began to stir in the area again, but not inside the old Roman walls. A new settlement grew just to the west of the abandoned city. This Anglo-Saxon trading town was known as Londonwick. It thrived on trade and shipping, its boats sailing up and down the Thames. But a new threat soon emerged from the sea: the Vikings. Their terrifying raids forced the residents to flee back behind the safety of the old Roman walls. London was fortified once more, its ancient defenses given new purpose. A pivotal moment in English history arrived in 1066, when William the Conqueror invaded from Normandy. After his victory at the Battle of Hastings, London surrendered to the new king. To control the powerful and often rebellious city, William ordered the construction of a massive stone fortress on the riverbank. This intimidating structure would later become known as the Tower of London, a symbol of royal power that has stood for nearly 1,000 years. During the medieval period that followed, London grew rapidly, but life for most people was incredibly harsh. The streets were narrow, dark, and filthy. There was no sanitation system, so waste was just dumped openly into the alleys or the river. In this crowded and unsanitary environment, disease spread like wildfire. In 1348, the most devastating pandemic in human history reached London, the Black Death. It's estimated that up to half of the city's population died. Entire streets fell silent, and mass graves had to be dug to bury the overwhelming number of dead. It was a time of unimaginable horror, yet, despite the devastation, London survived and slowly began to rebuild. By the 1500s, London entered the Tudor era, a golden age of culture and power. It became the undisputed political and cultural heart of England. This was the time of King Henry VIII and his 6 wives, the glorious reign of Queen Elizabeth I, and the genius of William Shakespeare. Theatres like the Globe opened, captivating audiences with new plays. Global trade expanded, and the city became more lively, crowded, and prosperous than ever before. But disaster, it seems, is never far from London's story. In 1665, the Great Plague struck. It was a terrifying return of the bubonic plague, and it killed over 100,000 people, a quarter of the city's population. To stop the spread, families were locked inside their homes if one person fell ill. A red cross was painted on their door as a warning. At night, the only sound in the deserted streets was the grim call of "Bring out your dead," as carts rolled by to collect the bodies. Just 1 year later, in September 1666, another catastrophe occurred. A fire broke out in a small bakery on a street called Pudding Lane, fueled by a strong easterly wind and the city's tightly packed wooden buildings. The small fire quickly turned into an inferno. The Great Fire of London burned for 4 days straight. It was unstoppable. When the flames finally died down, over 13,000 houses, dozens of churches, and most of the old medieval city had been reduced to smoldering ash. Out of these ashes, a new London was born. The city was rebuilt using brick and stone instead of wood to prevent another fire. Streets were widened and new building regulations were introduced. The legendary architect Christopher Wren was tasked with redesigning much of the city, including his magnificent masterpiece, St. Paul's Cathedral, which still stands today. London was entering a new era of strength and resilience. The 1800s brought the Industrial Revolution, and London exploded in size and population. Factories with towering smokestacks rose across the skyline. Railways spread like a spider's web, and millions of people flooded into the city from the countryside, all looking for work. London became the largest and most powerful city in the world. But this incredible growth had a dark side. It led to extreme poverty, choking pollution from coal smoke, horrific child labor, and a rise in crime. This was the London of Charles Dickens, a city of stark contrasts, immense wealth alongside desperate slums and terrifying workhouses. It was also the era of infamous crimes, like those of the mysterious killer known as Jack the Ripper, who haunted the foggy streets of Whitechapel. In the Victorian era, London was the heart of the vast British Empire, which controlled territories all over the globe. Unimaginable wealth flowed into the city from its colonies. This period saw the construction of some of London's most iconic landmarks. including the Houses of Parliament with its famous clock tower, Big Ben, the magnificent Tower Bridge, and the world's first underground railway, the London Underground. For a time, London truly was the capital of the world. The 20th century brought new dangers. During World War I, London was bombed from the air for the first time, a shocking new reality for its citizens. But the ordeal of World War II was far, far worse. During the Blitz, which lasted for months on end, German bombs rained down on London night after night. Homes were destroyed, thousands were killed, and historic landmarks were damaged. Londoners showed incredible courage, taking shelter in underground stations and refusing to surrender. The city was battered and scarred, but its spirit was not broken. Once again, London survived. After the war, London began to change in a profound and permanent way. People started arriving from all over the world to help rebuild Britain. They came from the Caribbean, South Asia, Africa, and all across Europe. This wave of migration transformed London into one of the most multicultural and diverse cities on the planet. The city's music, its food, its languages, and its culture were all enriched, creating the vibrant, dynamic metropolis we know today. When you walk through London now, you're walking through layers of history. Roman ruins sit beneath gleaming modern skyscrapers. Winding medieval streets exist right beside towering glass office blocks. Every single era of London's dramatic past is layered on top of the next, visible on every corner. This city has been burned, bombed, abandoned, ravaged by plague, and rebuilt more times than almost any other city on Earth. Yet it always continues to survive, to adapt, and to thrive. Because when you get right down to it, London isn't just about buildings or streets. London is its people. And as long as people continue to live along the River Thames, London will never truly fall. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this journey through London's history, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories like this. See you next time.